Hello, Patreon subscribers. Welcome to my page. This is going to be the first in a series of Behind the Songs, where I sort of explain the genesis of what the songs mean and how they came about. So this first one is going to be about my first song, A Star-Filled Sea. So this video is going to be probably the longest and most self-indulgent, so I apologize for that in advance. But the story's kind of long and how we got there. I'm going to leave out a lot of the details of family history of piracy and some of the more important musical background that I have, at least in this video, just because I want to keep it kind of short. So, A Star-Filled Sea. This song actually started out in about 2012, the day, or about a week after I bought my first motorcycle. I was living in Cambridge at the time, and I went for, at the time, it was going to be my longest ride, just over an hour, so relatively short by my standards. And as I was traveling south on I-93, I got this little ditty stuck in my head. It was a bright, clear day, just absolutely gorgeous weather, perfect day for a motorcycle ride. And in my head, I just couldn't stop going dum 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 dum, and I didn't have any lyrics for this in my head until I got to that third part. Dum da 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 da. Got a one-way ticket to the deep blue sea. And I was like, why deep blue sea? Where did that lyric come from? I have no idea. Out of all the things I was humming in my head on that journey, that was the only thing I actually came up with words with. So a couple days later, I called up a friend of mine who's the only person that I would call an audiophile, and I sang him the little ditty. He's like, "Oh no, that sounds like an original song." And then I got to the actual lyric parts. He's like, "Oh no, that's a sea shanty!" Ha ha. So I've been a big fan of sea shanties for a very long time. So that's where that tune came from, just a random motorcycle ride in 2012. Fast forward 8 years to near the start of the pandemic. I was on a work call, and the Wellerman sea shanty had just gotten popular, and we were doing some interviews for a position, and one of my coworkers said, "Hey, you should write a space shanty about space camp." And I thought, haha, that's a good time. I should get on those trends, except I can't because for security reasons we aren't on TikTok. But that got me thinking, hey, I've never written a song before. Maybe I should take that little ditty I wrote 8 years ago and actually turn it into something. And so I started to do that, which is, you know, for at my age, having never written a song before, you know, even just the past year before that was when I started getting into playing music in front of an audience. Certainly hadn't sang anything other than karaoke, and hadn't really done any music other than just some basic, or hadn't done anything since like early high school with instruments, except play guitar and bass guitar, just noodling by myself, trying to play along with some funny riffs. And so where was I going with that? So I started to write this song, sort of at the idea from my coworker, not specifically on the subject of space camp, although that's probably a song I'll have to write someday. But I took that ditty, I sort of changed a little bit of the meter. I knew it would be a call and response, where the dum 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 could be the response part, whereas the da 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 could be the call part. So I took that, made it about settlers going to another planet, wrote up a few verses. I chose the key of C major because it's the easiest one to write in, and I have a keyboard, and I thought, okay, I can do this. I don't have to worry about any accidentals. Keep it simple for the first thing. Basic call and response. Even don't barely vary the rhythm a little bit. I put some syncopation. Da 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 da. A rocket stands tall on the pad, to try to flesh it out a little bit. And then during the chorus was sort of the first time I was experimenting with sort of going up and down with outward bound to the new frontier, outward bound to the new frontier, outward bound to the new frontier. So I was working with that a little bit, added some high notes into one of the later choruses just to round it out. We're outward bound. But it's all the same note. There's no there's no chords. It's just the main notes for most of the song, because I was just not feeling very experimental at the time. Needless to say, once I finished the song, a lot of my friends liked it, and I had a really good time writing it and singing it. I use a program called Ableton Live, but I use the light version for now. So that only allows me to put 8 tracks into the recording system, which at the time was fine because I didn't need any more than 4. I was actually sort of doubling up, putting choruses on one line and call and responses on another instead of putting them all on the same line. So I'm getting a lot better at audio production. In fact, the remastered version I'm working on still actually uses some good effects rather than just flat, no chorus, no equalization, no compression. I've gotten a lot better at that over the years. So that's sort of the genesis of the first song that I recorded as a sea shanty, or should I say a space shanty. So I don't have a funny catchphrase yet, so yar and see you on the dark seas.